And welcome back to News Diary. I want us to go to Spice FM. Today they're talking to Professor Fred Ogola. He's the chairman of Operation Linda Jamii. The conversation is on motion to impeach some cabinet secretaries. Let's listen in to that conversation.
But not communities, by the way. Eric, mark my words. Kenyans live with each other harmoniously, irrespective of tribes. It's only when your politician says that you are so and so, I want my vote or I want this, then we start looking different. But actually, Kenyans live harmoniously. Where I live, in the community I live, there are more Kikuyus than Luos. And we live so harmoniously. So we took that aside. Now, what we want to do, where are we captured? If you look at Article 1 of the Constitution, they say the sovereign power belongs to the people. But once you donate your power, you cannot call it back directly. You have to call it back through a second constituency, which is Parliament. Can Parliament recall President now? They can't. In fact, the Parliament itself needs to be recalled by people, and there's no mechanism to call Parliament in entirety. So the best thing to do is that basic structure of the Constitution is being interfered with, nothing can do. There are a lot of illegalities going on. So Linda Jamii is already having a bill which is ready. You know, last time I tried to amend the bill, they refused to put up IBC until today. Can you imagine there's no IBC called Independent Boundaries and Electoral Commission? Independent. Yet what Raila says and Ruto says is what determines how independent are they. We have no independent. Anything that is independent, there's no independence. Anyone who has democracy in their statement, there's no democracy. For example, ODM, or any democratic movement, isn't it? UDA is United Democratic what? Alliance. How democratic are they? None. How independent are institutions? Zero. So all our institutions in the petitioner says, you go to IPOA, we had the post-election violence mandamano. What did they do? Even report, we don't know, isn't it? We have the DCI capturing, for example, if you go to our security apparatus being controlled by one community, a systemic risk, the Somali people, isn't it? Look at the DCI, go to ODPP, look at all that structure. It is controlled by one community. There's a risk there, right? You go to institutions, employment, everything. I'm not saying community. These are people, politicians who are trying to use those communities for their self-gain. So we need to change those structures. And first of all, where do we start? We don't start by, I was so disappointed by my brother Babu Owino when he said he wanted to impeach Nakumicha, because that is just removing a small log or just a small thing. We have to start from where the problem is. If you have not done a proper diagnostic, your prescription is useless.
So how?
So we've done the diagnosis and realized that Article 1 of the Constitution needs to be changed. And the beauty about this article is that it is protected by the Constitution 255, isn't it? That you don't have to go to Parliament. Once you have collected your signatures and want to put pressure at the Constitution IBC, we collect the signatures and wrote a clause on how to recall the president and deputy president directly by the people through a referendum without having to do impeachment through Parliament, because the Parliament has been bought using the shareholders' money. The only one standing is judiciary, who at least the only person who knows what to do in this whole government is only judiciary. Whether they are doing it or not, a story for another day. There's some they do it right, sometimes they don't do it right. But nevertheless, they're the only people who know what they are doing. This Parliament needs to be called again directly by the people. And I'm sure that the amendment bill is ready on Wednesday. I'm saying this, I don't care whether someone will come to my house and arrest me, I don't care. Even if they arrest me, it's in the system. Somebody else will present.
So you want to amend the Constitution, Article 1 of the Constitution?
Yes, asking that people can recall the president.
By inserting a clause?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Saying what? So Article 1 talks about all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
This power shall be exercised directly.
Or indirectly.
Or indirectly.
Yes.
And through institutions established through this Constitution.
Yes.
And can only be exercised in accordance with this Constitution.
Yes.
And then we say in the areas where we delegate the power to these institutions through an election. Are you saying that the way the Constitution is right now, there is no way for Kenyans to exercise that power directly?
Yes, you cannot recall the president directly. And you cannot recall the parliament, the 13th parliament, you cannot recall them directly, which means that Constitution had a problem. Because, Eric, if you have powers to lend me your coat, isn't it? You should have powers to call back your coat from me. If you have powers to give me your car, if you don't have powers to call back your car when you want it, then actually you don't have ownership. So this sovereign power was false in giving only. They wanted just to be given. They never look for how the owner can get it back. So Kenyans actually do not have sovereign power, according to me, in my analysis. So the only day we can have sovereign power is when we can recall it back. So once we amend this, we want to take the President, William Ruto, and Deputy President, to go back to the streets and try to defend if they cannot recall back. Once we call them back, we put up a new government, a new parliament, and give Kenya back to Kenyans. And I can tell you, I'm sure that the problem we have in Kenya is that everybody becomes a doubting Thomas. And when they see you doubting me, they are very happy. I'm sure you're going to doubt me, it can happen. Once you say, people don't even believe Fred Ogola, but I'm saying the right thing. So Kenyans are tired. I told you that the baby has wet diapers. They want to be changed. And everywhere I go, they want to change. If I would come back, Kenyans will come for me. And the middle class who feel comfortable, they are a fake middle class. Kenya, we have fake middle class. Because if you're a real middle class, you should not just be concerned about nyama choma, picnics and the rest. You should be concerned about something that champions you. And I'm sorry to use these words. Every banker, I've actually had a meeting with the bankers in Fairview. I won't tell you which banks, but around 10 CEOs, a few guys in the insurance industry and fund managers. They told me that if someone can come with a change that they really want, they'll be behind that person. And so far, that person looks to be Fred Ogola. We need to have middle class come here, because where will I get the resources? They should come from you, because if you want a solution, you cannot invest your money in a solution, then you don't need it. And that's why I call it a fake middle class. So there might be no need of money. If I go to Kisumu, they told me, bring all those things and spread them in the Tom Mboya Street, spread them in Oginga. We'll sign all of them. And then with more than 2 million signatures, we'll go to referendum. I'm telling you, they'll recall this group back. Both parliament, because they have been left out. Everybody is left out.
So are you seeing that Kenyans right now have gotten to the point whereby they've been pushed to the wall and then would be ready for a quasi-revolution?
Yes. Actually, if there's actually the one of Senegal happened faster just because of the fact that they are going through election. If you turn this to 2027 now, you'll be shocked how many Kenyans will ship out. I have so many friends of mine inside this government who are there to pay their bills between now and 2026, thereabout, and they'll ship out and go to a new formation. I know them. The only thing remains is that who will put his skin on the ground for their people. I've been telling people, like today, my sisters came to me. They came all the way from Mombasa, all the way. I didn't know they were coming. I was surprised in the morning. They told me, Professor, we have come to tell you, go slow. We have heard that your life is in danger. Leave this thing. Go back to classroom. And I told them, I died a long time ago. I'm only waiting for my death certificate so that I can enter my grave. Because, Eric, I'm saying this is almost in near tears, my brother. I have 5 undergraduate degrees. I have 2 master degrees. I have a PhD. I have 16 World Bank certification. I'm sitting here discussing about Aisha Jumwa, isn't it? And I can't serve in my country. You know what it means to educate somebody to that level. Then they are doing nothing. I'm only on talk shows. I'm on the street, running up and down, trying to tell people the right thing. It's not my own making. The president called Strathmore to fire me and replace me with his son-in-law. Then you're talking about Kenya not being a private enterprise. It is, my brother. I will live here and have my head shot on the street now, and I'll be okay. Let me die fighting for my country than fighting for nothing. So it's just that somebody has to put their skin in the game. How many people died before that, we don't know. But what we know is this change must take place. Because for me, I'm not going to be here. For example, I've heard Jim Wanjigi talking here, he want to change. Jim Wanjigi is just unhappy because SGR deal was his. The one who came with the SGR deal. He never got the money. These are shareholders. But I see many people coming and say, oh, this is the change. Let's evaluate. You know, now, Babu Owino says he want to impeach Nakumincha, isn't it? After impeaching her, which might take 6 months or 8, isn't it? What will happen? They are going to put another person there. What have you changed? You have just wasted time. But Babu Owino himself, he took advantage of his students when he was just in Nairobi. How did he come to become an MP? He came to University of Nairobi, became an MP, isn't it? Ride on the thing or ODM, isn't
let's
it?
Be
so
fair,
you
Prof.
cannot change a system.
There was some following of his own, no?
Yeah, you can't change a system with the people who have created the problem.
Prof, somebody being a student leader and then being elected in a different constituency altogether, you cannot say that you have used one into the other. I mean, there's no connection, and let's not even go there, Prof.
Anyway,
let's come back to your issue.
Respectfully, yes.
You are saying that the solution, the only solution that you see, is in amending the constitution.
No, that's a way. The solution is give back Kenya to Kenyans. What do I mean by that?
Right.
We need people who love Kenya, not their stomachs. And at the moment, we are getting people in government who need the government.
So when you give these people back their power, when was it taken? And what guarantees do we have that the people will exercise their power correctly this time?
But I've told you, when we get people who come into government because the government needs them, not that they need the government. At the moment, everybody in government needs the government. The government do not need them.
But who puts them there in that government?
Well, I mean, it's the same system that put them on. And that's the system we want to change. It's a systemic problem, I told you.
So point from the picture, okay? So let's say that through this constitutional amendment, we are able to recall directly. We wake up, we are tired with the president, we recall a president. We wake up, we are tired with members of parliament. We can disband the entire National Assembly plus Senate plus county assemblies, and we disband. And then we don't have government, we are the ones. So what happens next? Paint for me that picture. Are we saying that we are not going to elect another crop of people? That we are now going to run our own chieftains here? What's this picture?
Of course, you have to create a government. After recalling a government, you elect a government.
Okay.
Do you know why that's important? If William Ruto was sitting in State House, knowing that any day a Kenyan can go to the street, collect signatures, and remove him from office, he will rule very differently from now. But he knows I'm here until 2027, isn't it? And probably beyond. That's why he is going to the street and shouting at people, how to end up in going. How do you have a president who knows even who will go to heaven? You know, because he's become untouchable. He's become invulnerable.
So show me then, Prof. You recall a president halfway through their term.
Yeah.
How does that help?
But you see, Eric.
Remember,
Eric, you have to know what power is.
This is a president who's been elected by a majority in less than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This person was elected by a majority. Okay? Yeah. So let's say that majority is also feeling disillusioned with the leadership. Recall. How does that help?
Let me tell you one thing, Eric. Do you know what power is? To have power is important, especially if you don't use it. So long as the citizens have that power, that's enough. Do you know, Eric, if your power is to insult me, if you insult me, you lose it. This power is there, potential. Now, Kenyans are looking around. Raila told them, I'll take you to State House and take over. It's impossible, according to the current constitution. You understand? Should we had that provision, when Raila said, bring down the cost of living, they could have listened to him. But they cannot listen to him because there is no option. Once you have an option to exercise a certain power, it gives you way forward. So the fact that anybody will be coming to State House knowing that you can go, let's go to UK because you think I'm being idealistic, isn't it? Since Tony Blair left, how many prime ministers have we had in UK?
Quite a number.
Who can count?
Because there's a mechanism to leave. Gordon Brown came, he could not execute. May went, you come and go. If you can't do your work, you go. Here, you come and start insulting people. Eric, leadership is about followership. 53 million Kenyans are following William Ruto, isn't it? Does he know where he's taking us? He doesn't. Do you know why the president is better? I cannot even blame him. He's better because he has no clue where to take us. Eric, if you wake up now and we follow you and know where you're taking us, you get us agitated. So me, what I'm trying to tell you, that power that you can recall a government puts the government to task. In the US, there's so-called midterm elections. We don't have anything like that here. Once somebody has come, tell me an MP has ever been impeached. So everybody comes knowing, now I'll just eat for 5 years. It's not be guaranteed. I'm a husband to my wife, isn't
I'm
it?
just seeking the guarantee, Prof. Because the Constitution says that we have the sovereign power as a people.
Yeah.
Okay? We can exercise it directly or indirectly.
Indirectly.
Okay? So we can even go into a whole academic argument on whether by exercising powers directly, by electing leaders, we have then ceded the power. Because that seems to be what you're suggesting. that when we participated in the election on the 7th of August in 2022, we ceded our authority to the elected leaders, and now we don't have it anymore.
We don't have.
And the only way to get it back is if we have a clause in the Constitution that says we can collect 1 million signatures or 2 or 10 or whatever your proposal is, and then we go into a referendum that says we want to get back our power from the National Assembly, or so on and so forth. What's the guarantee that that process is going to bring sanity and bring power back to the people?
One thing is that it gives you, it tells everybody that elections are not over. You know why even we are doing what we are doing with Raila Odinga and all these things? It looks like election after 5 years, the guy will be there for 5 years. The fact that you know that you're not going to be there before 5 years, and there is a clause to recall you back. That's why even your contract, there's an exit clause, isn't it? Even if you have a 50-year contract, there's an exit clause. In your marriage, there's no exit clause, but also it's not guaranteed. Can you imagine that I have to wake up every day and perform well and ensure my wife still takes me as a husband? She knows that she has powers, even if the marriage is a covenant, which she cannot exit. You understand? But here we have a system whereby once I come in, I can't come out. But remember, there's something which has to add to this. The electoral system in Kenya also shows that professionals are not really supposed to come in. They said politics is dirty. Who came up with that narrative is a politician. Politics is dirty, so don't come in. So let us do the dirty work. But let me tell you what, the fact that you're not interested in politics doesn't mean politics is not interested in you. So we are trying to bring up a team of technocrats, because now we have tumbocrats running the country, because I told you, they don't love the country, they love their stomach. But we want to bring technocrats, because remember, we had technocrats in Kibaki's government, it performed much better. Uhuru's government was quasi-technocrat, but mostly they were almost, let's say, 65% technocrats. The rest were politicians. Now, 100%. In the end, all of them were. 100%, but of course, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u is a unique guy, but I've told you, if you are a CS who is qualified like Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, the economic policies coming from that place, he is not in charge. It is being told to him. And then we are buying a lot of narratives which are fake, like the US is controlling our economy, IMF, World Bank. I'm telling you that is not the story. It's been crafted by people wanting to believe them. US has their national interest, isn't it? They're only looking for how their national interest can align with the Kenyan interest. But if we have a head of state who is more private interest, then a private individual with the whole state like the US, you'll actually play their role. Okay. So if we have a national interest, we can align. So let me tell you what, Eric. There are leaders who want to lead, but they are afraid to come because the system does not even allow them. So
how do we get out of this system? And I think that's where we keep coming back to, because the question from the beginning has been how? Because there's no lack of knowledge in terms of what needs to be done. I refuse. It's been said over and over and over again. It would make sense. We have examples replete the world over. But in a place where you have admitted that there's a systemic issue, how do you get rid of the system to then bring in this new leadership, which is essentially going to deliver this baby? How? I
talked about that. You see, everything begins with a political party. There is no political party in Kenya. What we have in Kenya is what we call fraternities and sororities. What are those words? They're just a fraternity. You see now, Luhya coming together. I want somebody from Luhya. I want somebody from... Those are not political parties. Political party must be owned by the people. In NC, for example, Ramaphosa is there, but if the people do not want him, he won't be there. You see what happened to Zuma? If you go to Democrats in the US, isn't it? Obama never owned Democrats. If you go Republican, Trump never owns it. But here we have where a political party leader who is a presidential candidate is the signatory for even certificates for an MCA. That is not a political system. That's not a political party. So we will have a political party. I'm telling you, in my political party, which I have like 2-3 CEOs who are there. There's a mechanism on how a young person can come in. I won't mention the name because you know that you know what these guys can do. The political party is in some stage somewhere. We have how a youth can become a youth leader. Do you know that Oburu Dinga was a youth leader for ODM? I've told you the picture here where we have the succession. So I'm trying to tell you, we have to bring a political party where professionals know how to get a ticket. Eric, do you know any formula to get a UDA ticket that you can tell me you add 1 + 4 + 8 and get? ODM, do you know?
You see.
So we will start.
Prof,
that is another thing of bringing the good.
So, in your opinion, the existing political parties.